closely at this photo. A frozen moment in time. A smile held just a fraction too long. A child mid-laugh. A street bathed in sunlight. At first glance, nothing seems wrong, and yet something feels off. Photographs have always promised truth. They tell us this happened, this person existed, this moment mattered. But photographs lie not by what they show, but by what they leave out. Tonight, we step beyond the frame, into the unseen corners where reality hides its darkest secrets. Because some images, the ones we scroll past without a second thought, are quietly carrying stories of terror, loss, and irreversible tragedy. Welcome to Mr. Whisper's Official, where we explore the shadows history tried to crop out. Before we begin, ask yourself this: how many photos have you seen today, and how many truths did you never question? What if the smiling family picnic was moments away from disaster? What if the peaceful street scene concealed a crime still unsolved? Tonight's stories are not urban legends. They are documented, verified, and deeply unsettling. Each photograph we'll explore appears harmless, even comforting, but just beyond the visible edge, something horrific was unfolding. As you listen, you may find yourself rethinking every image you've ever trusted. If you value deep storytelling, true crime layered with the uncanny, and narratives that stay with you long after the screen fades to black, consider subscribing to Mr. Whisper's Official. New stories arrive regularly, and once you see what lies beyond the frame, you may never look at photographs the same way again. Now dim the lights, slow your breath, and prepare to look closer, because the most disturbing part of these images is what you cannot see. The photograph shows a family standing together on a bright afternoon. A father, a mother, and two young children, all smiling into the camera as if nothing in the world could touch them. The image was taken in the early 1990s, printed, framed, and displayed proudly in a living room for years. To anyone who saw it later, it looked like a perfect memory. What the photograph does not show is what happened less than 24 hours later, behind the photographer, beyond the cropped edges of the image. A series of decisions were already in motion, decisions fueled by debt, isolation, and untreated despair. Investigators would later piece together that the father, outwardly calm and affectionate, had been planning something unspeakable. That night, after the children were put to bed, the house became a crime scene. By morning, the family portrait had transformed into evidence. The smiles in the photo became unbearable to look at, knowing they captured the final moments of normalcy before everything collapsed. Psychologists later studied the case, noting how such images intensify trauma for surviving relatives and investigators alike. The photograph doesn't scream. It doesn't warn. It simply smiles back at you, indifferent to the devastation it precedes. This is the true horror of photographs like these, not shock, not gore, but contrast. The human brain struggles to reconcile innocence with atrocity. That struggle lingers. Long after the case files are closed, the image remains unchanged, quietly mocking our belief that we can recognize danger when we see it. But danger rarely announces itself. Sometimes it poses politely for the camera. At first, it looks like thousands of other vacation photos. A young woman stands near a scenic overlook, hair caught in the wind, laughing as the camera clicks. The background stretches endlessly, calm and beautiful. This image circulated online years later, often shared without context, praised for its carefree energy. What most people didn't know was that the photograph was taken less than an hour before her disappearance. Beyond the frame, just out of sight, a trail descended sharply into dense terrain. Search teams would later confirm signs of a struggle near that very path. The investigation remains unresolved to this day. Friends describe the woman as cautious, intelligent, not prone to reckless behavior. Yet the photograph suggests nothing but joy. That contradiction has turned the image into something haunting. Online forums dissect it endlessly. Was someone else there? Is there a shadow that doesn't belong? Or is the terror entirely invisible? This case illustrates a disturbing reality. Photographs often outlive their subjects, stripped of context and consumed as content. What began as a memory became speculation, then obsession. For the family, the image is not a mystery, it's a wound that never closes. The laughter in the photo doesn't echo. It stops abruptly, like a recording cut mid-sentence. And every time the image resurfaces, it reminds us how fragile moments truly are and how quickly joy can fall out of frame. This photograph shows a bustling public square. People walk, talk, laugh. Children run freely. Nothing draws your attention to any single detail until you learn what happened seconds after the shutter closed. Hidden behind a parked vehicle at the edge of the frame was an armed individual already chosen his target. Within moments, chaos erupted. The photograph became a historical artifact, studied repeatedly in documentaries and courtrooms. Analysts zoom in, searching for signs someone looking the wrong way, a posture that hints at awareness. But no one saw it coming. That is the most chilling aspect. The image proves how violence often exists alongside normal life, undetected until it's too late. Over time, the photograph has taken on an almost spectral quality. Viewers claim they feel unease without knowing why. Historians argue this is because the image represents collective blindness, reminder that danger doesn't always look dangerous. The people in the photo are not villains or victims yet. They exist in a fragile in-between, unaware that history is about to claim them. This raises an uncomfortable question. When we view such images, are we witnesses or voyeurs? And what responsibility do we carry when sharing them? Photographs are powerful because they feel final. They freeze time, allowing us to believe we've captured truth. But tonight's stories reveal something far more unsettling. Photographs are incomplete by nature. They exclude sound, intent, aftermath, and consequence. They show us smiles without context, beauty without warning, calm before catastrophe. Beyond the frame exists a second story, one we rarely ask about. As viewers, we are conditioned to consume images quickly, endlessly, without reflection. But perhaps we shouldn't. Perhaps every photograph deserves a pause, a second look, a question. What am I not seeing? History is filled with moments that looked ordinary right until they weren't. Many of those moments are still staring back at us from albums, archives, and screens. If this exploration changed the way you see images, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you encountered a photograph with a disturbing backstory? And if you want to continue exploring the hidden truths that live in silence, subscribe to Mr. Whisper's official, because some stories don't scream to be heard. They whisper just beyond the frame.